Hey, how's it going?
Well,
Where are you calling in from?
Thank you for having me. Calling from Long Beach, California.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'd like to share a story with the audience. I'm a rational person. I've been around the world in the military, various bases, stationed in several places all around the world. Back during one of my tours, I was in the United States Air Force. Back during one of my tours, it was in England, and I was stationed at RAF, Royal Air Force, Upper Hayford. We had several satellite bases. I was a firefighter at the squadron there at 341st Civil Engineering Squadron. And we were assigned to go to satellite outlying posts at various times of our tour. We were on 24-hour shifts, and we worked 24 hours a day. Every 2 weeks, we'd have a 3-day break. And one particular night, I was assigned at one of those outlying posts. The post is Royal Air Force Little Rislington. As a fireman, we have calls throughout the day. This particular base where I was stationed at, however, it was a lot of housing for the military folks that were stationed there with their families. And one particular night, I was watching the Los Angeles Lakers. This was during their heyday. And I fell asleep in the day room watching the television in the fire department day room there. This was October 1992-ish. And I just want to say that what I saw was what I saw. The term paralyzed with fear, I experienced that firsthand. As I fell asleep while I was watching the game, I was awakened by this being sitting there talking with me telepathically. The mouth wasn't moving; it was just sitting there, hovering, floating there in front of me, and I was in the lazy boy chair, paralyzed with fear. I can move my eyes and follow this being as it moved around the day room. The room was completely dark, but this thing, had some sort of a glow to it. And it was just a face that I can't describe, and it was a humanoid type being, 2 legs, 2 arms, and a torso and a head. But I was paralyzed with fear. And it was communicating with me, basically telling me, relax, I'm not going to do anything to hurt you. You're not going to be able to move until I leave this room. This is for my safety and your safety. And I lost track of time. When I came back to, the being was gone, and I got my faculties back. I lowered the legs on that lazy boy chair, ran through the darkened fire station. Again, it was around 1 o'clock in the morning, England time. I ran through the fire station, dark fire station, through all the hallways, back to the day room, to the bedrooms, ran into the bedroom and dove under the bed. There I stayed until the next morning. Now, I was a sergeant in the United States Air Force, but I was not going to go back to that base after that had happened. I shared that story with command, and they understood my reason for not wanting to go back to that particular location. We've heard things while we were there at the station at nighttime. The strange lights, I'm beyond looking for lights. I just want to know where the lights are coming from and what's their purpose here in our earth. Are they here? Are they malevolent? Are they benevolent? But that's one experience I like to share with the audience tonight. A lot of folks that I share that story with, they kind of think that I'm off my rocker. But again, I'm an educated man. I've been, in the Air Force. I'm in the emergency management right now here in L.A. County. So I do have, a decent job, and I've been doing public service for quite a while now, almost 40 years total since I've been working with the public service sector in one way or another. But I like to share that with the audience tonight. And when someone says that they were paralyzed with fear, believe me, I can relate to that, because I could not move a muscle in my body. The only muscles I could move actually were my eye muscles, following this thing as it moved about. And again, I lost track of time. And when I came back to, that was the last time I went to that RAF Little Rislington, because I refused to go back there under order of court-martial. I did not want to get into that station again, ever. So they never sent me back over there. And I was happy for that. And the happiest day for me was when I got orders to leave England. I was actually due to return back to the United States. And I did come back to the United States back in 1994. And that was one of the happiest days when I left England, because I kept thinking I was going to see either that being or beings that were related to it. So many strange things have happened to me over my life, and I can't understand all this stuff that's going on, but there has to be some interaction with these beings with us humans here in this earth, and whether or not people want to believe it, it is true, and I can tell you that firsthand because that was an experience that I'll never forget as long as I live. Of course, I was the only fireman in the TV room that night that was watching the game. The other guys, they were kind of beat and tired. But I shared that story with them, and they knew that there was something there, but they didn't want to really weigh in too much for fear of, I guess, getting ostracized by the rest of the members of the squadron. But I really didn't care what people thought because that scared the crap out of me, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. I've never been that scared before. I mean, growing up in South Central LA, I've been in some pretty dangerous situations, just walking home from school or working a night shift before I went to the Air Force. People coming in there doing crazy things. But that is the absolute most fear I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah. I could feel you on that. And it is something I've heard of people dying of heart attacks with these encounters for the first time. The body really just can't handle it because what they're witnessing scares them to death. Basically stops their heart. And the whole Oz factor and how you're explaining this experience of you being frozen as you're witnessing this is not unusual at all. This is a factual reality that the world needs to learn about because it's happening, in my opinion, millions of times a year. Your story is not original, but it is something that the world hasn't heard of in a broad sense, in my opinion. So this is quite incredible. I want to get your first name, and we're going to keep in touch with you as well. I got your contact phone number. If you don't mind, if we keep in touch with you, because that story, what you just shared with us right now, and all the background and the military background really gives credence to one's story. That's what it's all about.
Well, sure. I don't mind doing that, Blake. I thank you for taking my call, and I'll be happy to keep in touch with you. And thank you for the work that you're doing in this arena.
It takes a lot of guts to come out just like this gentleman did and tell his story. When you're in the military and you have a record of honor, it is really hard to come out and say that you had an experience where you were frightened like a little child as something comes into the TV room on a military base and scares the bejesus out of this soldier. Brett, what do you make of this coming forward of this soldier in regards to his experience?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's why we do radio shows, to get the testimony from real people. You know what fascinates me is basically what he said. He ran underneath the bed, like he said, as a little child. Man, this guy, you think he'd be trained in the military and be basically able to stand up to anything. That's what these guys are made of. The U.S. Army is a tough breed, and to be scared like this, something went down, and this is no figment of his imagination.
Yeah, his job on the base was being a fireman. You would have thought that, this is about as dangerous as it gets when you're in the line of fire, dealing with military fires. It's pretty extreme, but as you could hear in the emotion, when you're dealing with this kind of phenomenon, nobody is immune to this experience. It probably is terrifying for the first time, especially. But what's really weird is that the reports of the strange lights over this base in the UK, what make of that? Some kind of a connection?
Yeah, nothing new about that. Actually, most military bases are frequented by UFOs, and we got the evidence to prove it from people around the world. It's pretty cool. I like these kind of formats where we get the story and we kind of tell it and visualize it for an entertainment, but very insightful video.
And comprehensive, no doubt about it. We want to thank the caller who shared his incredible experience. It takes a lot of guts. Let me tell you, coming out with this and sharing your story sometimes for the first time isn't easy. Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody. Be safe out there, and stay tuned for Friday for the next radio show. But Third Phase of Moon, we've got new UFO videos coming your way as recently as the last 12 hours. We just uploaded a video. You might want to take a look at it. We'll see you real soon.